Temperature is going to be climbing into about the mid-70s today. It's going to be very, very windy. Watch out. Gusting about 40 miles an hour. We got no rain in sight, and we sure could use it right now.
KEA 284, Glenside Fire Tower, Woodland operator signing on channel 6 at 0730 hours. Good morning. For anyone, Glenside, stand by for fire weather report. State of the weather, 1, 5, 1, 5.5, 35, wind direction, southeast, wind speed 11, spread index 34, class day 4. Companies be advised that the Division of Forestries have declared today a Class 4 day. Pre-plan response is in effect.
Can you bring that pre-plan up so we can take a look at it?
Each time a firefighter crawls into a burning building, he puts his life at risk. Each time an officer sends his firefighters crawling into a burning building, he is putting their lives at risk. Some firefighters are tragically lost in the line of duty. But what saves those who safely fight fire after fire? A sound working knowledge of structural firefighting. And of course, experience. Knowledge decreases risk.
But how do you stop a fire that can spread in just 1 minute the whole length of a football field with a supply of only 500 gallons of water? How do you change your plan of attack in the split second it takes for the wind to shift and change the direction of the fire spread? This rig can make it. But what do you do when a conventional fire apparatus can't get within miles of a fire perimeter? How do you fight a fire here in a field like this? The key is, again, having a sound working knowledge of the variables affecting the behavior of a wildfire. No matter what you call it, grass, brush, woodlands fire, it's still the second most dangerous firefighting operation. Knowledge decreases risk.
In many states, field and woodland fires are under the jurisdiction of a designated forest fire control agency, whereas the protection of land improvements is the responsibility of the fire service. There are many instances, though, where the Forestry Service is not directly involved in the management of the wildfire, in which case it is the responsibility of the fire service to control the situation. No matter what agencies are involved, it is crucial that everyone understand the strategies used to combat a wildfire. This type of specialized training enables the firefighting team to avoid injuries, to fully utilize available resources, and to effectively protect all threatened property. Therefore, each firefighter should understand, be able to reasonably predict the behavior of a wildfire before he steps into one. Although a wildfire can be dangerously erratic, it is possible to predict its course if you understand the key elements affecting a wildfire's behavior. At its most basic level, a wildfire is made up of the same elements as any fire: heat, fuel, and oxygen. To extinguish a fire, one of the three key elements must be eliminated. When fighting a structural fire, Streams of water are directed toward the fire to cool the flames and diminish the oxygen supply, thereby eliminating two elements and extinguishing the fire. But consider a fire that is raging through a field. It is impossible to control the unlimited supply of oxygen that is feeding this fire. It is also extremely unlikely that there would be a large enough available water supply to cool such a highly heated, fast-moving fire. To control a wildfire, you must remove the fuel from its path, remembering that the protection of structures is the firefighter's primary concern. There are three major classifications of wildfires: surface fires, ground fires, and crown fires. Each type of wildfire must be controlled differently, and each presents specific dangers to firefighting personnel. Surface fires burn in grass, agricultural crops, trash, leaves, underbrush, and in the flash fuels covering the forest floor. Because surface fires run so quickly and are so easily affected by shifts in wind direction, firefighters must remain constantly alert to the direction of fire spread and should always have a planned route of escape. Ground fires burn in decayed vegetation in soil, swamps, bogs, duck, and garbage dumps, and are often very dangerous and difficult to control. Crown fires burn the leaves, needles, and branches of trees, have a steady supply of oxygen, travel very quickly from treetop to treetop, and usually have to be allowed to burn out. Be aware, though, that crown fires generate enough heat to spread downwind through flying embers and heat radiated from the convection column. No matter what type of fuel is burning, the anatomy of a wildfire remains the same. As in structural firefighting, where each fire has upward, downward, and lateral possible paths of extension, each wildfire has several different fronts that should be examined separately. Number 1, the head. This is the section of a wildfire that is spreading most quickly, usually driven by wind or uphill draft of a slope. Controlling the head of a wildfire is key to controlling the fire, and therefore is usually the primary concern of the firefighting team. Number 2, the rear or tail. This is the side of the fire opposite the head. The rear usually burns more slowly and burns on the downside of a hill or against the wind. Number 3, the fingers or points. These are long, narrow areas burning in advance of the head or outside of the flanks that are caused by wind shifts or fuel variances. Number 4, spots. These are areas burning outside of the perimeter. These isolated spots are usually started by wind-carried flying embers or radiated heat. Number 5, the perimeter. This is the outside edge of the fire and is always expanding. Once the fire is out, the perimeter is the edge of the burned out area. There are 3 major variables that affect the behavior of a wildfire: fuel, weather, and topography. Fuel is any organic material, either living or dead, in the ground, on the ground, or in the air, that will ignite and burn. Light fuels such as grass, needles, small branches, and brush pick up moisture quickly and give it off quickly. Therefore, they are fast-burning fuels. Heavy fuels such as logs, stumps, large branches, and snags take in moisture very slowly, give it off slowly, and are consequently slow-burning fuels. The next variable affecting wildfire behavior is the weather. Unlike the fuel complex, the weather, and consequently the path of the fire, can change instantly and must be monitored constantly. Once a fire starts, wind is the primary determining factor in the direction and speed of fire spread. When sizing up a wildfire, the key wind factors to consider are velocity, direction of the wind, and turbulence or gustiness. Topography is the third element to examine when analyzing wildfire behavior. A geographic area's topographical features play a long-term role in the frequency and development of wildfires in the region. Most importantly, topography greatly determines both the fuel type and the weather year after year. There are several indices now in use to evaluate a specific region's potential wildfire behavior. A commonly used typical index is the National Fire Danger Rating System, which determines a region's daily burn susceptibility. For example, a Class 1 day is characterized by high to moderate humidity, moderate ambient air temperature, green fuel, difficult fuel ignition, slow spread, and easy fire control. A Class 5 day is the extreme condition. There is very low humidity, very high temperatures, minimal cooling at night, and fuels in the curing stage. All fuels ignite very easily. Fire spreads extremely rapidly and is almost impossible to control. By monitoring the local burn index, each fire department can prepare for days when wildfires are likely to start by deciding upon pre-planned responses that are determined by not only the manpower, equipment, water supply, and response time, but also by the likelihood of wildfire.
Members will be there when we need.
Glenside Chief 27 responding. Chief, the fire was reported by the Glenside Fire Tower. Switch to F2 and contact the tower. That's the Glenside Chief 27 to Tower 5.
Hey, this is Tower 5. I have a sighting of a column that slips along County Line Road, 1/2 mile west of Thompson Street. Chief, be advised that we have a Class 4 condition today. That's in 0800 status at a wind shift. Now coming from the northwest at 12 to 15 miles per hour.
Okay, thanks. Keep a close watch. I have to know where it's going and how fast. This is Glenside Chief 27 back to F1.
Glenside Chief 27, back on frequency 1. What's on the road?
Well, Chief, Class 4 response is in effect. Tanker 27-5, Field Piece 27-1, Deputy 27 responding.
Also be advised it received a telephone alarm from the Phillips residence.
Returning the side for wildfire.
Chief 1 to Deputy 27.
Deputy 27.
Go over to Route 28 to the Phillips place. Tower 5 has informed me the wind is shifted and I think our fire may be moving that way. Try to find a head and determine what's in the exact path of the fire.
Deputy 27, 10.
As in any fire situation, the chief officer's first priority upon arrival is size up of the fire ground. At a wildfire, primary concerns are current weather conditions, fuel load, and direction of fire spread. These variables determine the officer's plan of attack as he assigns incoming fire suppression units.
One up County Line Road. Try and get on the far flank. Let me know how big it is and how far it's gone. The captain, don't leave the road without telling me. Stand fast till I get a report from 27-1. Go ahead.
Route 28, the column of smoke looks like it's heading this way quickly.
Chief 1 to dispatch.
Go ahead.
Dispatch the rest of Station 27. Head them west on Route 28. Also, dispatch Sharpville with a wildland fire response. Head them east on 28. Have all units coordinate with Deputy 27.
Most Class A fire service vehicles are not designed to operate off hard surface roads. Therefore, many departments utilize 4x4 or multi-terrain vehicles. In this situation, the fire officer has chosen to initiate a wet attack upon the perimeter of the fire, which serves as an effective method of containment. When operating in the pump and roll capacity, fire service personnel should be extremely cautious and remain alert, not only for obstacles, but for fast-moving fire fronts as well. Once it has been determined that a structure or improvement is endangered by an oncoming wildfire, responding companies should immediately prepare to protect the threatened exposures. As the officer in charge, in this case the deputy chief, arrives, he should ascertain as much information as possible regarding the endangered structures.
What are we going to do? It's coming right towards us.
Okay, calm down. Is anybody else in the house?
No, I'm here by myself.
All right. What about your utilities? You got any bottled gas?
Round the corner here.
All right.
Do I have time enough to get some things out of the house?
You can go ahead and start getting them, but it looks like you got 10 minutes at the most. But you're going to have to go around the other side of the road and wait there.
Okay.
Have one of the men shut off the propane around the back on that side. Stretch 2 lines with one protecting the exposed side of the house. Start wetting down the brush, but use the water supply sparingly. It's all we have till we get a draft in motion. We use the other line to directly attack the perimeter as the fire moves closer. All right?
In any fire situation, a firefighter's priorities remain the same. First, eliminate life hazard. Secondly, protect property by removing high hazard materials.
You familiar with Hoops Reservoir? Yeah. Good. I want you to stretch a supply line from 44.5 and set up for draft. All right.
As in any fire situation, available water supply must be evaluated before beginning an operation. Unfortunately, wildfires do not always threaten areas that are served by a municipal water supply. Therefore, before any operation is initiated, water supplies should be located and put into use. Look for nearby ponds, streams, reservoirs, cisterns, and private wells. But remember that the objective here is to establish a reliable, constant water supply.
To the Double J Horse Farm and give me a report on the situation over there. Oh, Chief. All right. Deputy 27 to Chief 27. Go ahead. I've sent 44-1 over to Double J Horse Farm to check out that flank.
If a fire is threatening an exposure, it is imperative to use the minutes before it arrives to decrease the potential for damage. If possible, use part of the available water supply to wet down the endangered side of the exposure, paying close attention to the roof, eaves, sills, exterior trim, and any wooden sections. Another important step is to remove as much fuel as possible from the fire's path, and here, hand tools are a must. For example, the brush or council rake. This tool is commonly carried on brush units and is used to clear fire breaks by raking down to mineral soil, removing possible fuel from the fire's path.
That's 2 lines off 44.5. 27-4 is going to draft off Hoops Reservoir. I got men clearing the strip behind the house. I think the reservoir is going to be a good fire break, but I still think it's going to come along this way.
All right, good job. Look, I'm concerned about the situation over at Double J. I've requested an additional brush assignment. They'll be in staging if we need them.
Right.
So I want you to go over there and see what we're going to have to do. See if we're going to have to evacuate livestock.
Right.
Down with it now.
The Forestry Service has arrived. They've initiated a backfire operation, and we've advised the owners to evacuate the livestock.
The decision to set a backfire to limit the potential spread of a primary fire is a command decision that is made only with very careful consideration. Variables such as the relative value of land and improvements in the fire's path, predictability of weather conditions, and available manpower play an important role in this decision-making process. Due to the high risks involved, backfires should only be initiated by trained personnel who are usually from the local Forestry Service. In these situations, Fire service personnel are best utilized in a support capacity, aiding in evacuation of people and livestock and providing backup water supply. Because of the large volume of fire and the density of fuel, the hose team does not risk entrapment by advancing hose lines into a dangerous area. Instead, the fire officer orders suppression units to set up in a clearing between the dwelling and the advancing fire. To ensure the safety of the dwelling, the chief officer places one hose line in a defensive position between the fire and the home itself. The second hose team is preparing to directly attack the head of the fire, thus assuming an offensive position.
Get an Indian tank on and knock down that spot. We can't afford to have another fire behind us.
The Indian tank, or backpack pump tank, can be used in all aspects of wildland firefighting. The manual pump handle and small tank allow the firefighter to quickly apply water without the time delay of stretching hose lines. The containment of potentially disastrous spot fires is a good example of the Indian tank's utility. As the fire approaches, the firefighters advance their 1 3/4 line, using a wide frog pattern, protecting themselves from the large amount of heat generated by this type of fire. When the firefighting team is close enough to safely check the blaze, the nozzleman selects a medium fog pattern to penetrate the main body of the fire. Once the bulk of the fire has been knocked down, the hose team douses the seat of the fire with a straight stream. The chief fire officer must carefully consider the fire's volume and behavior as opposed to his available resources before committing his fire team to such an aggressive attack. As in structural firefighting, mop-up is an important aspect of the total operation. Veteran firefighters know that only through the systematic search and extinguishment of hidden fire can the potentially disastrous threat of rekindle be eliminated. During dry mop-up operations, a wide range of hand tools can be used to effectively contain hotspots. One of the most commonly used tools is the shovel, which is carried by most engine and brush companies. As a dry attack device, the firefighter simply shovels mineral soil directly onto a small fire, using the soil as an extinguishing agent. The shovel is also effective in overhauling spot fires by eliminating burning debris from a smoldering surface. Again, be sure to remove all fuel down to the non-combustible mineral level of the soil. The shovel is also ideal for constructing man-made fire breaks. The multi-purpose mattox is an effective tool for clearing brush and cutting small trenches. This dual-headed implement serves as an excellent alternative to the shovel, since it can also be used to uncover duff fires and penetrate ground cover down to the mineral soil. The axe, one of the most versatile of fire service tools, can play an important role during the mop-up stage of a wildfire. It is commonly used to break up burning or smoldering debris such as logs or stumps that may conceal deeper fires. To ensure extinguishment, the debris is broken apart and then wet down using the direct attack method. Another commonly found fire service tool is especially useful during mop-up. A pike pole can be utilized to pull apart large piles of debris. It also works well in situations where a rake may be impractical or difficult to maneuver. Again, to ensure extinguishment, wet down the debris as it is pulled from the smoldering pile. Keep in mind that feeders are good, lightweight tools that can be easily used to control small perimeter and spot fires. Remember, A thorough mop-up is the only guarantee against rekindle. Many grass, brush, and woodland fires can be effectively controlled by well-trained fire service personnel. The key is understanding and being able to predict the behavior of a wildfire.